Some of yours third day, some of you this is the second day. Last time, the one app that we're going to spend a lot of time, as much time as we can in an hour's worth, is that. It's EduCreations and it's free. If you have one person at the table who has it, you can pal around, gather around, and all use it together. The website is Better Learning for Schools. Last time I promised. What's it called? Ram it all together. That's how you'll find it. But you also know that if we all do it right now, half of us will make it there. Analogy we use, pretend that there's one giant thing of orange juice and everybody's trying to drink out of it with a straw right now. It's kind of hard for all of us to get what we want. So throughout the time period today, just go ahead and check that. The tab you're probably going to want to look at is the one that says iPad apps for educators if you missed Wednesday. And then for today, it's technology tools for teachers. What's that? Oh, my microphone. Hey, we're going to try and get some video on this. So we said no cussing, hitting, kicking, spitting, swearing. Well, yeah, none of those. So yeah, we're not going to do that. Cameron, do you need to do that? Oh, go for it. That's not awkward at all.
No, I won't do that. I'll just talk loud. I'd like to introduce Curtis Chandler. We are excited not only to have him here at the conference, but to have him as part of our team at ESDAC now. He was 2011 Kansas Teacher of the Year, but he said the most interesting fact about him is that he can touch his nose with his tongue.
Prepare yourself.
And so, wait a minute. Yeah, he can. You have a very talented gift.
That's
only the beginning. Just wanted to remind all of you at 12:15 we will have another keynote with a little get together with Kevin Honeycutt. More prizes will be given away, including an iPad Mini, and they will be just like where we were for the keynote. And there are evaluation. There's QR codes for a survey. If you could just give feedback to Curtis, that would be great. He really appreciates that, and have a great session.
All right. Well, folks, today we're going to be talking about creating creativity. We're going to try and have a lot of fun because that's important. You can get a hold of me via email or the website, however you'd like. If you want to see that slide at the very end, that's fine as well. We're going to get to EduCreations later on. Kind of embodies what it is that we're trying to do. And we're going to put our student hats on today. We're not teachers today, we are what? So let's think of it that way. Okay? We're talking about the website, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's do some creating creativity. Bottom line, by the time we leave here today, this is what we want. We want teachers that are more visual and kinesthetic. Not like better looking, okay? But we want teachers who use those more often. We want teachers, educators, who can get kids in the creation of their own mental models, or what we call non-linguistic representation. Say that, go. Non-linguistic. You want to impress somebody, which is a fancy word for a picture. Okay. You know, non-linguistic. Last one, we want to foster inventiveness, creativity, use technology to accelerate that process of like problem solving and really getting kids' ideas out there. Okay? So with that, let's have some fun. How many times are you going to see that slide? 10 3 say ah. 1 2 3. I know. All right. When I left a couple days ago, this is what they were doing. They were building their arsenal. So in the garage, there's this pile of recyclables we're trying to get rid of, and they found a mess of duct tape. It's weird stuff, you know, all mangled up. So they straightened out the duct tape the best they could, and they started to create their own arsenals, weapons that they were going to use for some game that they were making up the rules as we speak. These all belong to one son. How can you tell? They all have his own insignias, like something terrifying. Now most parents would be, you know, worried about this, and I am. But this is what a young person's mind does when left to their own devices. We come into this world fairly creative. Short version, if you look at the research at a place like the Torrance Center for Creativity at Georgia, they'll say, some people are born more creative than others. Yeah, but all of us can foster it. It's kind of like a sense of humor. Are some people born funnier than other people? Yeah, you know these people. I have 4 boys. How many boys? 4. One of them, sorry, the first one, the second one, they're funny young men. They can get people laughing, light up the room. The third one, not so funny. But he sees what his older brothers do, and he's like, I want to learn how to do that. Not born funny, but he can foster that, just like his creativity. And he's learned when you get in trouble, he makes up his own knock-knock jokes that really don't make sense. And when people aren't laughing, they'll laugh a couple times because he's cute. When he starts to lose him, he's got his fallback plan. So one joke that always gets him, he says, why did the toilet paper roll down the hill? And they say, just to get to the bottom. Now, he didn't write that, but he's like 6 years old, so he's like, and so everybody just laughs and laughs. He's learned to be funnier, and we can learn to be more creative with our students. All right? Let's talk about this one. This is Kale. What's his name? Kale has introduced me to the combination, the wonderful combination of French fries and milkshakes at McDonald's. How many of you do that? Moment of silence. It's incredible. And I was with it. I like to take one child at least on a road trip with me, and I build them in the presentation as often as I can. Didn't do it this time because Grandma is in town, and we all know Grandma trumps Dad's tricks. And so this is just a couple of weeks ago, and he's trying to actually this was a couple months ago, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm trying to suck my milkshake through my French fry." I'm like, "Why would you do that?" He goes, "It would be delicious." I said, "It's not going to work." He goes, "Look very closely at the French fries. There's these teeny tiny holes in it." And in his mind, he's like, "I can make this happen." He's turning blue, purple. It doesn't matter. That's what a young person will do if he wants to get something new and novel. Okay, this is the book he was reading recently called Max Goes to Mars. And he's reading through this and he says, I'd like to create my own Mars rover. Anytime a young person says, "Can I make my own?" what's the answer to that? Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay? And so now I've got him. I'm like, "I am your father and a teacher. I've got you. I'm going to make you learn." And so my mind is going, okay, I want to make sure that he figures out how will it get to Mars and get around Mars, right? How will it collect and aggregate all those things that we want to send back to Earth? And also important, what's something that yours Mars rover can do that other ones can't? How many Mars rovers have there been, folks? I don't know either. I'm just kidding. But a lot, right? And so the whole idea is to adapt, modify, to make it better. And he leaves for 10 minutes and he comes back and he's like, "Dad, look what I've created." And I'm like, "Wow." Which is parent code for, "What the heck is that?" He's like, "That is my Mars rover. It's designed to look like an eagle." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So left to right, you've got the feathers. And the front is the beak. And over here. So I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me about it." He goes, "See these claws? They're the wheels that are up really, really high so the Mars rover doesn't get stuck in the sand." Like, "Why was that for?" He goes, "Dad, the Mars rover always gets stuck in the sand." That was in his book. And I said, "Well, what are these?" I said, "What are these French fry looking things?" He said, "Well, that's if it sinks down. They shoot out real far and they push it up out of the sand." I'm like, "All right." I said, "What about this over here?" He goes, "That's where the people sit." I said, "Son, there's no people in the Mars rover." He said, "There should be." And up here, I'm like, "What is that?" He goes, "That ejects either the people or whatever they've gathered or both all the way back to Earth." That's what it's a escape pod. And that's what a young man's brain does. But you also need to understand that most of the time, as teachers, wonderful teachers, when we sit down to have parent-teacher conferences, it's more like this. "Your kids are so interesting." Which is teacher code for and they basically say, "We spend a lot of time trying to get your kid to sit still, be quiet, so the other kids can learn." Because their brains are going and going. Okay? This is Cade. What's his name? Cade. Cade got a reject costume from Walmart because, we're teachers. And so we go the day after Halloween and get all the stuff that's left over. And he found this astronaut costume, but it didn't come with a what? So he cut up all these old soccer balls that were deflated and taped them together with duct tape and more tape and more tape, and eventually this is what he ended up with. Okay, this is Kaysen. What's his name? Kaysen. Very creative young man. This is what he's into right now, is building stuff out of those. Troubleshooting, making things work. He's getting older and he's been in school longer, and the conversations I've had with him lately are very interesting because it's become apparent that he's doing the things at school so he can get to the things he really wants to learn about. So he's kind of rushing through his schoolwork so he can learn. But he does have some profoundly meaningful comments like, "Why is everything cool made in China?" He'll find something cool and he'll flip it over and guess where it's made. Now, I don't think he was intending to be as philosophical as I'm giving him credit for it, but I'm like, "That is brilliant." So everybody go, "Wow." 1, 2, 3. Wow. So what happened was this. I'm thinking about that. If you talk to individual students, educators in China, in Asia, right now there's this emphasis on creativity. And what has our emphasis been for the past 10, 15 years? And so if you talk to them, they're like, "That's funny. You switched models with us." Because 15 years ago, they were considered the left brain capital of the world. And now it's us. Congratulations to the left brain capital of the world. We know both are important, right? Because of this. We know we can get test scores to go up if we focus on tests. And despite what people are trying to throw out, politicians, lawmakers, our test scores continue to go up when we focus on it. The problem is lately, if you start to check creativity scores, and they have these, what have they done, folks? What noise would you associate with that? Ready, go. All right, and we need both. That was great in the back, by the way. Do that again, go. All right, this is kind of the mantra. How do you say